Namaste, everybody. This is Rishikesh Ashtakala, or just Rishi for short. The divine in me bows down and honors the divine in you. I hope you all are safe, happy, and loved. I'm going to read to you today a blog that I wrote a while back. It discusses the main types of yoga, and I also conclude with which type of yoga I think is superior. So this is for anyone who's interested in yoga and learning more about it. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this little discourse that I wrote. Without further ado, here I go. I will now talk about the different types of yoga. Religion comes from Ger, which means to bind or have union with the transcendental, etc. So humans throughout our history have been seeking this union. Yoga in Sanskrit means union. There are many types of yoga, not just the physical types of yoga that focus on physical postures. And truth be told, I'm not going to go as deep as I can, because there are huge books that could be written about each type of yoga. However, the types of yoga that I will briefly talk about is Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Raja Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is pure loving spiritual devotion for God and love itself. It can be practiced in any religion as long as there's loving emotional devotion. It is a relationship between yourself, the lover or devotee, God and the beloved, and all other living entities. It is considered to be the most direct way to merge and become one with divine consciousness. Bhakti Yoga is the yoga of love, and it is a supreme path of loving devotion towards a personal God that is similar to a number of human to human relationships, such as beloved and lover, friend, parent and child, and master and servant. People can understand God and have a relationship with God in those different ways, and many others. The highest level and most advanced Bhakti Yoga practitioners in the Vaishnava Krishna tradition, those who love Vishnu and Krishna, are the gopis, or the girlfriends, or friends that were girls, and lovers of Krishna, for their love of Krishna was and is the highest state of love that can be experienced in all of existence. Lord Krishna was an incarnation, or believed to be a supreme god in his own right, who incarnated on Earth as an avatar 5,000 years ago. And he's just like the Jesus of India. You can learn more about him if you just Google Krishna, Krishna. He was a god of love. Um, the love that the gopis had for Krishna it was and is the only absolute love that exists, and not like the temporary emotions that people go through. It is believed that Krishna's gopis were all enlightened masters of yoga in their previous lives and did countless lifetimes of austerity and penance in order to become one of Krishna's gopis. Even Lord Shiva, the lord of universal destruction and the god of Shaivism, once attempted to disguise and transform himself into one of Krishna's gopis so he could get a taste of the divine love that was exchanged between Krishna and the gopis. But like I said, divine love can be experienced in any spiritual path. It doesn't have to just be towards Krishna. It could be towards Jesus, it could be towards Buddha, it could be towards Allah, it could be towards Yahweh, Jehovah, it could be towards any name and form of God you worship. It just means loving devotion and spiritual, emotional devotion. Bhakti yoga Bhakti is a yoga path in that its aim is a form of divine loving union with the Supreme Lord. The exact form of the Lord or type of union varies between different schools, but the essence of each process is very similar. The Indian spiritual teacher Meher Baba states, out of a number of practices which leads to the ultimate goal of humanity, God realization, Bhakti yoga is one of the most important. Although the whole of humanity is concerned with Bhakti yoga, which in simple words means the art of worship, but it must be understood in all its true aspects, and not merely in a narrow and shallow sense in which the term is commonly used and interpreted. The profound worship based on the high ideals of philosophy and spirituality, prompted by divine love, doubtless constitutes true Bhakti Yoga. There are three main groups of Bhakti practitioners in India and Hinduism. The Shaivas, who worship Lord Shiva and his family, including Lord Ganesh and Lord Kartikeya or Murugan. The Vaishnavas, who worship Lord Vishnu and his avatars such as Krishna and Rama, and others associated with him. And the Shaktas, who primarily worship the goddess forms such as Goddess Durga, Kali, Lakshmi, and Parvati. All these groups have great respect for each other's primary deities, while considering their own paramount in their own religious worship. The most advanced practitioners in each group, as well as the scriptures of each group, recognize that each god or goddess is so closely related to the others as to be essentially the same being, even though each is perceived from a human perspective as having a slightly different form and somewhat different primary and secondary qualities. In the same way, a mountain, when seen from different directions, may appear to look different, yet it is the same mountain, and each person must approach the mountain from the place in which they happen to find themselves. The next yoga I'm going to talk about is called Karma Yoga. Simply put, Karma Yoga, or the discipline of action, is a form of yoga based on the teachings of Hinduism, and in the Bhagavad Gita, a sacred Sanskrit scripture of Hinduism. Of the four paths to realization, Karma Yoga is the process of achieving perfection through action. Karma Yoga is derived from the spiritual life. Karma Yoga is said to be the most authentic way to progress into the spiritual life. Found in the Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga is a part of nature. Karma Yoga is taught by teachers of Zen who promote tranquility. Karma Yoga is an intrinsic part of many derivative types of yoga, such as Natya Yoga. Karma Yoga is often understood as a yoga of selfless, altruistic service. Simply put, uh, instead of all this fancy language, I'm going to keep on reading, but Karma Yoga is essentially doing good deeds to others without expecting anything in return. It's like unconditional love and performing good deeds, whether it's charity, feeding the poor, sheltering the poor, giving a donation to a good cause. Any good deed that helps others is Karma Yoga. The Bhagavad Gita gives a summary of Karma Yoga process. The Gita itself is a chapter from the epic known as the Mahabharata, wherein a dialogue takes place between the Prince Arjuna and his friend and chariot driver Lord Krishna on the brink of a great dynastic war. Their conversation is prompted by Arjuna as he is engulfed by sorrow and misgivings regarding the oncoming battle in which he has friends and relatives on both sides. In reply, Krishna then elucidates upon a number of philosophical yoga systems and practices, including Karma Yoga, by through which he should indeed continue with the fight for righteous principles. So, Karma Yoga is the yoga of action. It is the path chosen primarily by those of an outgoing nature. It purifies the heart by teaching you to act selflessly without thought of gain or reward. By detaching yourself from the fruits of your actions and offering them up to God, you learn to sublimate the ego. Sublimate the ego. To achieve this, it is helpful to keep your mind focused by repeating a mantra while engaged in any activity. Principles of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is a selfless devotion of all inner as well as outer activities as a sacrifice to the Lord of all works, offered to the Eternal as a master of all the soul's energies and austerities. So, one part of Karma Yoga is having the right attitude. It's not what you do that counts, it's the attitude while doing it that determines if a job is a Karma Yoga job, a liberating job, or a binding job. Work is worship. Swami Shivananda advises us to give your hands to work and keep your mind fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. The next part of Karma Yoga is having the right motive. Same as attitude. It is not what you do that counts, but your real motive behind it. Your motive must be pure. You must have pure intentions. Swami Shivananda says man generally plans to get the fruits of his works before he starts any kind of work. The mind is so framed that it cannot think of any kind of work without reward. A selfish man cannot do any service. He will weigh the work and the money in a balance. Selfless service is unknown to him. Next, do your duty. Often duty is referred to as righteousness. You will incur demerit if you shun your duty. Your duty is towards God or self or the inner teacher who teaches you through all the specific circumstances of your life as they appear. Do your best. Whatever you have to do your best. If you know of a better way to serve, you must use it. Do not hold back because of fear of effort or because of fear of criticism. Do not work in a sloppy manner just because no one is watching or because you feel the work is not for you. Do your best. Try to do such actions that can bring maximum good and minimum evil. Do Karma Yoga increasingly. The next is give up results. God is the doer. You are not the doer. You are only the instrument. You do not know God's intentions or God's plans. God is the actor. The self never acts, changes. It is only the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, or qualities of nature, which are playing. The way to realize this truth is to constantly work for work's sake and let go of the results, good or bad. It is the desire for action that binds the individual. It is the detachment from action that will dissolve the karmic seeds. Detachment from results also means detachment from the type of job itself. There is no job that is inferior or superior to a different job. Don't be attached to your job. Be ready to give up your job if necessary. The next part of Karma Yoga is serve God or the self in all. Do to others what you would like to be done to yourself. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Adapt, adjust, accommodate. Bear insult, bear injury. Unity in diversity. We are parts of the same body. Practice humility in action. Beware of power, fame, name, praise, and censure. The next part of Karma Yoga is follow the discipline of the job. Each job is a teacher of some sort. You can learn different skills by doing different jobs. Each job has different requirements in terms of time, degree of concentration, skills or experience, emotional input, physical energy, and will. Try to do whatever job you are doing well. So that concludes Karma Yoga. Next yoga I'm going to talk about the way to unite with the absolute truth or God or source or original cause or creator is Jnana Yoga or Gyan Yoga. It means union due to pure knowledge, and it is one of the types of yoga mentioned in Hindu philosophies. Dhyana in Sanskrit means knowledge. Dhyana yoga is knowing beyond name and form through pure understanding of the nature of doer, who when seen in clarity results in liberation. This path is different from other forms of yoga in a sense that other forms emphasizes on a structured way of experiencing reality through a process of crystallization, carried by doing different forms of meditation, practicing self-inquiry, studying science and rational philosophy. However, this path simply states that only knowing is enough. Yet Bhakti Yoga is for the heart and emotional devotion, and Jnana Yoga is for those who like to use the mind and knowledge. So one could practice Jnana Yoga by meditation, practicing self-inquiry, studying science and rational philosophy, and just learning and obtaining wisdom. As used in the Bhagavad Gita, the Advaita philosopher Adi Shankara gave primary importance to Jnana Yoga as knowledge of the absolutes, while Vishishtadvaita commentator Ramanuja regarded knowledge only as a condition of devotion. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that jnana consists of properly understanding kshetra, field of activity, that is the body, and kshetrajna, the knower of the body, that is the soul. Later in the Gita, Krishna emphasizes that a transcendentalist must understand the difference between these two. So that's it for Karma Yoga. The next type of yoga I will talk about is Raja Yoga, also known as the king of all yogas, or the royal road. Raja Yoga is the science of physical and mental control. Often called the royal road, it offers a comprehensive method for controlling the waves of thought by turning our mental and physical energy into spiritual energy. Raja Yoga is also called Ashtanga Yoga, referring to the 8 limbs leading to the absolute mental control. This includes the physical postures and the types of yoga that you see practiced in the West, mainly with all the physical activities and postures and poses that you do. The chief practice of Raja Yoga is meditation. This also includes all other methods which helps one to control the body, energy, senses, and mind. The Hatha Yogi uses relaxation and other practices such as yamas, niyamas, mudras, bandhas to gain control of the physical body and subtle life force called prana. When body and energy are under control, meditation comes naturally. Next, I'm going to talk about Ashtanga, the 8 limbs of Raja Yoga. Compiled by the sage Patanjali Maharishi in the Yoga Sutras, the 8 limbs are a progressive series of steps or disciplines which purify the body and mind, ultimately leading the yogi to enlightenment. These 8 limbs are yamas. The yamas or restraints or don'ts are divided into 5 moral injunctions aimed at destroying the lower nature. They should all be practiced and developed by the latter, but also more importantly in spirit. They should all be practiced in word, thought, and deed. So number 1 is ahimsa or nonviolence. 2 is satyam or truthfulness. 3 is brahmacharya or moderation in all things and control of all senses, also refers to celibacy. Asteya or non-stealing. 5 is aparigraha or non-covetousness. So then it's the niyamas or observances. The dues are also divided into 5 and complete the ethical process start with yama. These qualities are Satya or purity. This is the internal and external cleanliness. Santosha, contentment. Number 2. 3 is tapas or austerity. 4. Swadhyaya, study of sacred texts. 5 is Ishvara Pranidhana, constantly living with an awareness of the divine presence, surrendering to God's will. Next is pranayama, regulation or control of the breath. Asanas or postures and pranayama form the subdivision of Raja Yoga known as Hatha Yoga. 7 is pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses in order to still the mind. 8 is dharana or concentration. The last 3 steps constitute the internal practice of Raja Yoga. When dharana or concentration is achieved, it leads to the next step. Number 9 is dhyana. Meditation is that state of pure thought and absorption in the object of meditation. There is still duality in dhyana. When mastered, dhyana leads to the last step. Last step being number 10, samadhi, enlightenment, the superconscious state. In samadhi or non-duality or oneness is experience. This is the deepest and highest state of consciousness, where body and mind have been transcended and the yogi is one with the self or God. Okay, I'm almost done. So now I'm going to conclude this blog with deciding which path of yoga is superior. Truth be told, it is my opinion that all the paths of yoga lead to the same destination, like different sides of a pyramid. Some people like to use their heart and emotional devotion to connect with God and the divine. Some people, so for them, that's bhakti. Some people like to use their minds and intellect and wisdom to connect with God and the divine and understand it. So that's jnana. Some people follow an ethical code system and a lifestyle and practice the physical yoga, which is Raja Yoga or Ashtanga or Hatha. And yeah, so there's yoga for the mind, body, and soul, or heart and heart. But it's like a pyramid. No matter which side you climb from, you reach the top regardless. I use all 4 systems throughout different points in my life. I like to focus on bhakti or loving emotional devotion, but in order to keep it, I need jnana or wisdom. And in order to live a life of bhakti and love, I practice karma yoga by doing selfless good deeds for myself and others. And in order to have control of my mind and absorb spiritual energy, I practice Raja Yoga. Each side or yoga system is necessary for the pyramid to take shape so one can climb up it and reach nirvana, or Brahman, the absolute truth, whatever you want to call it, God, source, highest power, Allah, Christ, Buddha, Shiva, Krishna, Devi, whatever you want to call it. There are also the paths of Kriya Yoga and Kundalini Yoga, which are meant for self and God realization. I'm not covering those in this video. All of these paths of yoga are interconnected and intercorrelate, and I love them all. Thank you for hearing me out and listening to this if you've gotten this far, and I hope this information helped. Till next time. So yes, thank you for bearing with me. That was kind of a long reading, but that was a basic understanding, a beginner's level understanding of yoga, the different types of yoga, and what yoga actually is. I hope you enjoyed it. May the universe, source of energy, Christ, Buddha, Shiva, God, Allah, highest power, whatever you want to call it, Tao, Shiva, Krishna, Devi, may the highest powers and ultimate power, bless you all. May you all be happy, safe, and loved. And thank you so much for listening and sharing my thoughts on yoga, letting me share my thoughts on yoga with you. Till next time, friends, namaste. The divine in me honors and bows down to the divine in you. Thank you. God bless.